Ben?
Ben, are you here? Okay, no problem. Live?
Live.
Wonderful. All right, it is 5:05 p.m. I'm going to call the March 15th, 2023 Quality of Life Committee meeting to order. Ms. Martin, if I could please get a roll call. Oh, Loretta, Loretta, if I could please get a roll call.
Certainly. Counselor Chavez,
Here.
Counselor Lee Garcia,
Present.
Counselor Michael Garcia,
Present.
Counselor Villarreal,
Present.
Madam Chair Cassett.
I am here.
You have a quorum, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Moving on to approval of the agenda, are there any changes from staff or the committee? And if not, can I please get a motion?
Move to
No
approve.
changes, Madam Chair.
No changes for me, Madam Chair.
You.
Approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Oh, any opposed? Nobody. Motion passes. Moving on to approval of the consent agenda. I have item C pulled by Counselor Chavez so she can recuse herself. And then item H pulled by Counselor Lee Garcia. Are there any other items that anybody would like to pull from the consent agenda at this time? If not, can I get a motion to approve as amended?
Move to approve as amended.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And motion carries. Moving on to our presentations. We have one presentation today. It is a presentation on childcare inclusive entrepreneurship with the National League of Cities. We have Liz Camacho from Economic Development and Julie Sanchez from Youth and Family Services here, and I believe some guests, and I will hand it over to you two. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. First want to start off a little bit of why we decided to bring this to the Quality of Life Committee, which is one, to get it on your radar, first of all, and then second of all, it's a pilot program, and it's a pilot program that we're going to be presenting. And we'd really like to know if it's successful, how can we continue it and move it forward? So I'll start off with the National League of Cities. This is a national organization that really supports different cities. And so they have something called the City Inclusive Entrepreneurship Program. And from there, they offered us, so we signed up, we said, hey, we'd love to be a part of it. It's a coalition of 150 cities. What makes it really exciting is that they can show you what other cities have done. And you are also part of the coalition and you join them and they give you different ideas. So that's really part of what we were really looking forward to do. And I think the Kauffman Center, who really sponsors the National League of Cities, is really good about entrepreneurship programs. And the way that they've done things is, first, they did a lot of research and they found out, you know what, when we do the research, nobody really necessarily runs with it. So we're going to have to not only do the research, but also gather people to really, what are the learnings that we have from our entrepreneurship resources? So they came to, we saw them, they sent us some information because we're part of the National League of Cities, and they had various topics that we could choose. And we decided to choose early childhood workforce, which was kind of funny because they added that at the very last minute. And basically what we want to do is, how can we support childcare entrepreneurship? And
I will say that this is a co-collaborative project between Economic Development and Community Services and the Youth and Family Services Division. So I wanted to make sure I put a plug in there for all of the work, hard work that we both had to put in together for this.
well, and luckily what happened is that there's a lot of research that has already been done. So it wasn't like we came to the program without knowing. So because the Community Services Division had already done the research, it was easier for us to tap in and to recognize what are some of the needs. Now, there are a lot of needs. So we had to really narrow what our focus would be. So we chose, because one of the things of the program is that you can qualify for grant funding of $15,000. So we said, and you have to finish the program by August of 2023. So we said, what can we do that will have an impact by August 2023 and that we can do with $15,000? So we decided that we'd like to tap into the Family Friends network. So basically family, friends and neighbors network. So basically this is really where it's not necessarily people who are certified, but these are family members who might be helping out to do childcare while someone's at work. And it's also neighbors who will be doing childcare. And one of the reasons that we chose this is we think that there's kind of two things that can happen here. One is they could either decide to start their own business if they wanted to, or they could also become certified and join any kind of child services care providers if they become certified. And we said, okay, how can we start really going towards that? And we have a really amazing partner who actually came and said to us, we have exactly that kind of program, and it's Growing Up New Mexico. And I think what's really great about Growing Up New Mexico is that they are a state program, but they're willing to do this pilot program with us and see how we can bolster it in the city of Santa Fe. And basically what we want to do is incentivize the Family Friends and Neighbors network to really start moving into both increased quality care. So what does this mean? Different kinds of training, such as, hey, it's really good to have in your home a fire extinguisher. If you've trained for CPR classes, all of those things really incrementally get to better quality of childcare in the Family Friends and Neighbors network. And then we also paired up with, is she here? No. We also paired up with the Chamber of Commerce, obviously because of the entrepreneurship, but the Chamber of Commerce also is tapped into what the business needs are. And so they also came to us and are like, there are many different needs. And so we would really like to support it. And they're doing some really amazing things. They'll be having childcare at the next Business Expo. They'll also be having panels at the next Childcare Expo as well. And even during the pandemic, one of the other groups that really came to us and was saying, do you have any information on childcare was LANL. And so we also paired up with LANL. So basically that's our team, is the Growing Up New Mexico with Kate Noble, LANL, Patrick Duran, the city of Santa Fe Chamber of Commerce, Julie with the Youth and Family Services, and myself with Economic Development. Now, what is this program going to consist of? Or did you want to touch on the output and the input?
Yeah, sure. So when we started this project, we really had to have a deep dive discussion around what community stakeholders did we want to bring to the table? What documents do we have? What do we have missing? One of the great things about the partnership with Economic Development was we brought our early child care study that we did late last year. And so that really kind of helped us form what this pilot project was going to look like. Also really interesting was the work that was done through the Mayors for Guaranteed Income and how much finances actually support and know, oh my goodness, the cash assistance and cash transfer programs, how much that empower individuals to, support themselves and their projects. And so that was something else we brought to the table. We engaged a lot of partners within the city. We started building our team, bringing in interested folks. And then we really began to kind of map the business supports and the financial opportunities and identifying gaps in the early childcare arena. And this is kind of where Liz was touching on the entrepreneurship network and then building on the Family Friends and Neighbors network. We did create an action plan in order to increase supports and financial opportunities. One of the great things is we brought our pilot project to the Children and Youth Commission, who agreed to do match funding should we get the grant. And okay, and I could do the master reveal. We found out today we got the grant. So, so we'll be able to support the Growing Up New Mexico pilot project, which we'll talk a little bit more about. And we really want to see, our ultimate goal is to get individuals, pie in the sky dream, getting our Family Friends and Neighbors network participants to become licensed child care centers, because they get to draw down on the CYFD reimbursements. They could provide high quality care. And that's one of our big metrics. Now, we don't think we'll meet that by August, but pie in the sky, should we see something like this continue, that would be an ultimate goal, because we really want to create more spaces for our community's infant, toddlers, and young children.
Especially because that's where we saw the need. And in the study that they did with community services, one of the things that they saw is only 22% of the needs of 0 to 5 age group is met at the moment with the number of spaces that they have. One of the great things about the Growing Up New Mexico program that they have as well is that they have an accelerator. It's a year-round accelerator program. So either way, if we incentivize the family, friends, and neighbors network to really either become certified or to have more quality in the terms of their care, they could either go that direction or they could join into the accelerator program that Growing Up New Mexico has. So for us, really, the partnership with them was one, it can be something that's immediately impactful. And especially with the amount of funds that we have, it's not a lot of money, $30,000. We know that, although we're still proud we got it. And something that we can finish by August, we'll have measurable results. And also we can refine the program, which is why it's a pilot program, because as we get people who from the family, friends, neighbors network, red leather, yellow leather, then this can be something that they could also even go into something that can become a career for them. So here are some of the examples of the incentives. So Growing Up New Mexico has already did a soft launch for their program on a statewide level. And we are going to be doing and probably very much following along their steps. We did get some input from NLC, which is, these are some of the things that you can do. Become a registered home with early childhood education. So if you have this where you just register, you will receive $300. If you register with the child care provider dashboard, that's $100. What's the dashboard? That's where they actually say, hey, here is a slot that's available during this time, or here is. And so if all of the childcare providers get onto this app, then we'll have greater awareness of where there are slots available for childcare. Then we are also thinking, one of the things that they told us with NLC was, if you're doing incentives, one of the things that you may want to consider is the cost of the program. So if you do CPR training, not only do we want to say, oh, we're now incentivizing you to do the CPR training, we will also cover the cost once you receive it. So those are some of the tweaks that we still have to make. And those are because we'd also like to do something where, like, you get a welcome basket when you first start the program with a fire extinguisher with, I forgot, what did they call them? Malleable toys or something, but I forgot. Yeah. So they're like toys and books that you can have, maybe diapers or something, things that you can really start it off to feel like, hey, you're becoming and you're on your way to being a professional childcare person. And it's not about like, checking people's certification or anything like that. It's really just more encouraging the quality of the care. And we can go into more of the details. One of the other things that I think that we'll be doing that won't necessarily be the same with Growing Up New Mexico on a national level is that we would really like to invest in communication for it. So that means that we're going to have Facebook campaigns and we'll do them bilingual because we understand that there are also, we need Spanish speakers who are many times multi-generational living in the same home, whom also could participate in the program. So that's one of the things that we'll be doing. And so what will it cover? It will also cover some of the cost of extra administration for Growing Up New Mexico, because while they are on a state level managing the program, we know that our program, we might want to be a little bit generate more buzz around it. So that will be part of what we will also be giving. But really, I think it'll be Growing Up New Mexico who will manage the program. Thank you. Any questions?
Wonderful. Thank you both so much and for being here and for getting us started in this program. And just really excited to see this developing out of the, I don't know what, Julie, 3-year conversations we've been having in this arena. So, and to see those partnerships continue to congeal. And congratulations on the grant. That's wonderful that you guys received it. I will turn to the committee. Any questions, comments from members of the committee? Councilor Lee Garcia.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Ms. Sanchez and Ms. Camacho for the presentation, and to all the partners. Nice to see you, Patrick. Thank you for the presentation. It is exciting to see the movement towards trying to find avenues safe places to have our children, be cared for. And that being said, what would you see as some of the barriers that some of the people that would partake in this program run into in regards to maybe certification or, obviously when we are creating places for our children to be cared for, some of the the people that open these up may be well certified, but then they also may have to hire staff and getting those people certified. And as we can see in our current society and situation, it's so hard to just hire anybody and hire somebody else with qualifications. And so what might be some of the barriers that you might run into for
So I think,
startups?
we can definitely speak to two different kinds of barriers. One with the program. So you might have language barriers, you might have availability barriers in terms of like, is there a CPR class available? Where is the CPR classes? Where are those ones? And then the other barrier, which is if you did want to eventually go into being a certified childcare provider and work with a business, a childcare center, one of the biggest hurdles that they have is for them to qualify for the incentives is the time between when they can be, what's the word I'm looking for? Fire inspector, when they can have the inspection. So there's different states, there's different state levels where you have, or like, okay, your employee now has greater certification. So now we will reimburse you these amounts of funds. But for a childcare center service to be profitable, it is very, very, very challenging. All of their slots have to be filled. And for them, between that period of like, oh, you're going to come over and check if all the certification and going up higher in different kinds of certification, which I think you can speak a little bit more to that, right? The stars. It's a star grading system. That's what I'm speaking about. That between that time and that they getting the money that's reimbursed, they're pretty much working at a loss. So that's, I think, really a big challenge. So if you give them people who already have that certification coming in beforehand, then I think that covers that period, which is a loss if they decide to go into childcare services. It's a pilot program, so we will see. I'm sure many barriers will arise in the process.
And then just to add, I mean, really getting homes inspected and certified is probably one of the biggest challenges, because we're talking about like, your grandmother's home, your auntie's home. And so getting them up to code would be one of the biggest barriers as they move up in the star rating system. So I know we have some work happening on the statewide level, but I can see that as a definite challenge. And of course, running out of funding, right? We only have $30,000 to support this in the short term. But it would be great to see something like this grow out of the ECECD department.
Thank you. And I can see that $30,000 goes pretty quickly in this day and age. But going back to the intent, which is great and amazing. I mean, I remember when my kids were little and it was so hard just to find some place for them to go, that they were going to be safe, and we felt comfortable leaving them. And so I think that's the direction that this is taking. And I hope it succeeds, because it's definitely something that's needed in our society for sure. So thank you. No further questions.
Thank you, Counselor. Any other questions, comments from members of the committee? Councilwoman Villarreal?
Mostly a comment, just thanks for your enthusiasm. I'm like, what do you have that you could give that energy to me right now? It was exciting. And I feel your excitement. I think this is a good step forward to some of the challenges we have in our community. And I'm just, excited to see how it moves forward and then how it blossoms. So thank you both for your work on this and enthusiasm and energy. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions, comments? Just thank you to both of you, and thank you to our partners that are here and the work that's being done in this arena. I really, really appreciate it. I'm really excited and can't wait to hear more. All right, moving along to our consent agenda, if I can get back to my agenda. Okay. First item pulled was item C. It's a request for approval of amendment number 1 to item number 23-001 American Rescue Plan Act ARPA Recovery Fund subrecipient contract with Santa Fe Public Schools for work-based learning and paid internship programs under U.S. Treasury guidelines. We do not have anybody here as Counselor Chavez. I will turn the floor over to you.
Thank you, Chair. I pulled this item because I will be recusing myself as this is my employer. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor, and we will call you back in as soon as we are done with the vote. Any other questions or comments about this from the committee?
To approve.
Second.
A motion and a second. Can I please have a roll call?
Counselor Lee Garcia,
Yes.
Counselor Michael Garcia,
Yes.
Counselor Villarreal,
Yes.
Chair Cassett,
Yes.
motion passes.
Thank you so much. Could somebody please grab Counselor Chavez? Thank you so much, Councilwoman. Moving on to our second item pulled. This is item H. It's consideration of resolution number 2023 doesn't have a number yet, sponsored by Mayor Weber. It's a resolution in support of Governor Lujan Grisham's call to pass gun reforms, including a ban on the sale of assault weapons. We have John Blair, our city manager, here to present, and Councilor Lee Garcia, you pulled this, so I will send it over to you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And again, I pulled this number 1. I had a question at last committee presented at Public Works, I believe, and my request was the definition of an assault weapon, of which I was provided by your staff, I think, by you, Mr. Blair, and your staff. And for the most part, I pulled it because there's a lot of legislation that has been presented that I support, but there's some that I don't. And this is a resolution to support all of the gun legislation. I disagree with some of the definitions of an assault rifle, basically because of my experience as a marksman or a hunter and things of that nature. And so I pulled it basically to vote against it. Again, not that I don't support some of the legislation, but I do not support all of it. And so I really don't need any responses because it's all here. You may respond if you like. But that was the main reason for my pulling of this item on consent.
Thank you so much, Counselor. Any other questions or comments from members of the committee at this time? And if not, what are the wishes of the committee?
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Can I please have a roll call?
Counselor Lee Garcia,
No.
Counselor Michael Garcia,
Yes.
Counselor Chavez,
Yes.
Counselor Villarreal,
Yes.
Chair Cassett,
Yes.
motion passes.
Thank you so much. Thank you, City Manager.
Madam Chair, happy to be here. Thank you. Best meeting ever.
See you soon. All right, moving along. So any matters from staff today?
No matters, Madam Chair.
Thank you so much. Matters from members of the committee? Matters from the chair? I have none. Our next meeting is Wednesday, March 29th, 2023 at 5:29 p.m.